Bowlsack.
Alright, can I start?
Yeah.
Alright. Welcome to Movie Pain or Pleasure Podcast, the show that is a blast from the not-so-recent past. I'm your co-host, Melanie, and I'm cosplaying the late 90s today with a shirt and a choker that I've had since my senior year of high school, which was 1997. Now, if I were to make it accurate and have it totally be the late 90s, I'd either be slugging back some tequila or some Goldschlager. But I'm in my 40s, so I have a glass of Chardonnay. Yes, it's disgusting. Not the Chardonnay, the Goldschlager. Yeah, it's awful. So, AJ, what are you doing for your 90s cosplay?
Well, you have to have a button-up shirt over a t-shirt of any kind. I just went with Power Rangers because that 90s, I don't know. And a chain. That's it.
I did dark lipstick. I didn't do the thing with the eyeliner where it looks like an asshole. I never did that. But maybe I dabbled in dark lipstick. I need a backpack purse. I used to have one. That's what I need to complete my look.
You need a Hello Kitty backpack.
So why are we dressed in 90s clothes?
Urban legends. Or legend?
I think it's urban legends. I don't know.
We don't care.
Urban legends. So I wanted to hate watch this movie because we just watched Final Destination 2. So I was in the mood for bad horror movies. Just like laughably bad, really stupid. And this turned out to be kind of delightful. A really nice time capsule of the late 90s, which is when I graduated high school and started college. So that was a good time to be a young person growing into an adult. I liked the 90s. How about you?
I mean, I was a kid, so I liked the 90s, but I'm a 90s kid. Not like those fake-ass 98s, 97 kids. Fuck those kids.
What, they're born in 97 and say they're 90s kids?
Yeah.
I was born in 79. I don't claim the 70s for anything.
Mm-mm. Yeah, I was born in 91, so I'm a real 90s kid. So, but I guess I have fond memories of the 90s. It seems like it was always, like, summer in my memories, or spring. Not all over the place like it is now. Fucking global warming. But,
yeah, a lot of things were better in the 90s.
But with that came, murderers on campus. So.
Yeah, not necessarily good horror movies. So that's what we're going to talk about is Urban Legend from 1998, starring Jared Leto, cult leader extreme, Joshua Jackson, Tara Reid, and Robert Englund. There are also other big characters, but I can't remember their names.
And the Noxzema girl.
The Noxzema girl, Rebecca Gayheart, is in it as well. So we start out with a murder like we always do at the beginning of a movie. So we have this young woman driving her car, and it's kind of funny because she pushes in a tape, and the song Total Eclipse of the Heart comes on, and she's kind of halfway singing along to it. It's really funny.
She kept going.
She didn't know the words. Yeah, and so this is where it starts to drop away from reality for me. She needs gas. She keeps passing through a town, and finally she pulls into this rickety old gas station. And the gas is $1.14 a gallon. Yeah, $1.14, kids. At one point, gas didn't cost your college tuition.
We sound like those old fucking people like, gas used to cost a nickel, and you'd go down to the fucking cellar and get a malt.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Okay, so you want to talk about because we have to have the urban legend, so we have to have something scary at the beginning. So I need to drink my wine.
First, this movie reminds me that horror movies from this time are kind of like really fucked up towards, okay, quote unquote, ugly people.
Less conventionally attractive.
Ugly people. Dorf, what's his name? Brad Dorf?
I don't know.
Whatever. The guy that plays Chucky, and he was very good in Exorcist 3. Grima Wormtongue, whatever. He's the gas attendant back when people did that too, actually pumped your gas, and he just appears outside the window right when the girl's going through her shit for her credit card or whatever it is, and of course that's like that's the first jump scare. Ugly person.
Ew, it's contagious.
And he has a stutter, so then he's even more like awkward and I won't say scary, but it's like
He has-
off-putting.
He has a hard time communicating, and she's already jumpy, so
And
she's
he's
not
got
really
a
ready
heart
to.
of gold.
She's not ready to be patient. Yes, explain what he does.
This man, he comes back and
In the pouring rain, by the way.
yeah, it just drenched and tries to tell this girl,
Miss, could you come inside for a minute, please?
What is it?
Credit card company's on the phone.
He finally gets her inside, and then she freaks the fuck out because she is actually kind of smart. She checks the phone line, and there's nobody on the phone line. So, okay, credit to her. But her immediate reaction was like, throw shit at him and run out.
I mean, isn't that what, if somebody locked the door and they said, hey, there's a phone call for you, and you get there and there's no one on the line,
Yeah, but,
something
like,
fishy is up.
It's not so much the girl's fault as the fault of the movie that they're writing it in like he's creepy because he's ugly and he can't talk right.
Yeah.
So she runs out to the car and he finally finds his voice, and which was kind of weird. He went from like today Junior to just flat out screaming shit.
Someone's in the back seat!
Someone in the back seat. We've heard this urban legend of. Sometimes I hear it of a trucker is behind a woman and he keeps flashing his lights at her. And when she finally pulls over, the trucker gets out and like pulls around and says, call the police, there's somebody in the back. And so apparently there was a guy trying to, like he was going to stab her, and whenever the trucker would flash his lights, he'd go back down and hide. So that's the way
Huh.
I've heard it.
That I don't know. Have you ever accidentally gotten in somebody else's car though?
Yes.
That's
As a kid.
That's always freaky. Anyway.
So then we cut to...
So that's she dies.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, yeah,
just-
she gets chopped with an axe, which is kind of funny the way the axe goes, like, through the window
like,
instead.
It's like he stabbed across her neck or something.
So, yeah, there's somebody in the back seat. She gets chopped to death. Cut to the main characters in a coffee shop, basically. And we've got
With
kind of the...
Michael Rosenbaum with hair. So if any of you know who Michael Rosenbaum is, Lex Luthor from Smallville, he looks fucking weird with hair. But
I wouldn't know. I never
he's the
watched
main
Smallville.
asshole.
Yeah. He's kind of the jockey guy. I could see Dane Cook maybe playing him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so we've got a nerdy guy who's Jared Leto and two pretty girls. One is Natalie and one is Brenda. Natalie is a redhead and Brenda is played by Rebecca Gayheart, the Noxema girl. So then another ugly person jump scare. One of them kind of runs into this janitor, and it's an old gothic looking college at the University Pendleton, I think it's called. And so we think, you never really know, like, ooh, is there a killer? Isn't there? The college is trying to deny that there's a killer. So this girl who was killed was a college friend of Natalie,
High
the
school.
redhead. Or she was a high school friend, but she was in college too.
Yeah,
she
the
was
guy
at the
was in
college. So then again, we're establishing the main characters. Robert Englund, who was Freddy Krueger, is some kind of professor. We never really know with these movies.
Ethics? Psych?
Mythology?
Maybe? Oh, this could have a nice little crossover with Candyman.
It could.
Because him and, what's her name could probably... Wait, what's her name's husband?
I don't know who you're talking about.
The main woman
Virginia Madsen?
Yeah, her husband was the one I think that was teaching, like, the
Oh.
course with the urban lit. No, it was her. It was her. My bad. Because she was going around
She
taking
was doing
pictures and shit.
research.
Okay,
Yeah.
these are in the same universe now. We haven't done that in a
Candyman.
minute.
And that's one I don't fuck with looking in the mirror and saying anything. I've never done the Bloody Mary thing. I'm not going to. It's creepy. What I have done.
That one comes up, but...
That they don't really do anything with it. Okay. It does come up in Paranormal Activity 3, or one of them. And it's really scary. So, I've done Light as a Feather, Stiff as a Board. I told AJ about this. So, it's slumber parties in the 80s. You'd get around somebody with your friends and they'd lay down flat and you'd put your just two fingers underneath them and you'd say, light as a feather, stiff as a board. Light as a feather, stiff as a board. And they'd levitate. And it's real. And it works. It really works. Kids, try this with your friends and then play with a Ouija board.
Just don't pick the fat kid, but most kids are fat now, so...
God, okay.
don't pick... Let's try this on Tess Holiday. See if that big bitch
You
can get
gotta,
picked
okay, oh God, okay, you're gonna get us canceled. Okay, so Robert Englund is a professor, and he's talking about urban legends, and they're all kind of laughing. They're like, "Oh, this is bullshit." He's like, "Oh, young lady, you're laughing in my class. Why don't you come up here and?"
Does he actually have an English accent?
No, I'm just
I was
making it
like,
up.
why are you giving him?
I don't know.
You
So-
come, young lady.
So he's pissed off that Brenda is talking in his class, so she comes up and he gives her some Pop Rocks, which
Well, it's
like,
local
oh.
customs. So.
Oh, you know, the local custom. So, gives her some Pop Rocks, and then he holds up a Pepsi, which is good product placement. And he's like, "Oh, why don't you take a drink?" She's like,
Well, supposedly, your stomach and your intestines, everything first.
Really? Anyone you know die this way?
I did that one, I think.
"The soda one with
Yeah.
Pop Rocks? Does it just feel weird?" I mean, I was never a Pop Rocks
I
fan.
think it was the only time I had Pop Rocks.
Yeah.
So, fuck
But
Pop Rocks.
I do
They're
like this.
weird.
I mean, this movie brings in, like, kind of the classic urban legends, but I like how it incorporates it. You see him coming, you're waiting for them, but then you're like, "Oh, okay, I see what you did there." So they build it up, and she's like, "Oh, nothing happened." So her friend comes up, Joshua Jackson.
Now, is this one... I'm trying to decide who's the bigger asshole. The bigger, obvious asshole that has to die. But maybe it's all of them.
They're all assholes.
Because Michael Rosenbaum is the one that acts like a dick and just tells these stories and laughs about them. But this kid is the one that, like, is really kind of rapey.
Joshua
like,
Jackson, yeah. So
Like-
he was Pacey on Dawson's Creek. So he's like, "Ah, ha, ha, I'll do it."
Voila. Still alive. Brooks.
He really commits. He's
Oh,
like...
yeah. Yeah, and some people are like, "Oh my God, call 911." And then finally he opens his eyes and starts laughing. So he's the prankster. So Natalie has this goth girl roommate, and they don't like each other. And she's always on the computer and on that version of the internet. And I think Natalie wanted to use it, or she complained about her being on the computer all the time. She said, "Well, it's my phone line too."
Shit.
You know, back when the internet was on a phone
I'm
line.
gonna throw in that bitch ass sound. Whoever
Yep.
came up with that can go to hell.
Yep.
Whoever designed the internet
know
to
that
make
noise
that noise.
Okay, so now some murders start
What if-
happening. More murders.
No, think about it.
What?
What if they didn't design it to sound like that? That's literally just what happened whenever they created this internet thing.
Maybe.
Like, what if they hooked it up and it was like, "By the power of Satan, you will come to my home," or "Stairway to Heaven." One of those two things.
Backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've
So-
listened to that. It actually does sound kind of creepy if you listen to it backwards.
Anything sounds creepy if you
No, I
listen
mean,
to it
like,
backwards.
you can sort of hear some words in there.
Oh, yeah, that's a good song. So, anyway, some murders start happening. So, Joshua Jackson takes Natalie out into the woods in his car, just to talk, because they're friends. And he starts to get a little pushy and tries to kiss her and tries to put his
Like,
hands on her.
You're the type of girl that needs to be loved.
Yeah, it was gross
Fucking-
looking. I can tell you're lonely. You just need someone to put some love in you. So then
Yeah.
she punches him and he's like, "I'm gonna go take a piss."
Good for her. She punches the shit out of him.
Yeah. So he goes out to pee and he's gone for a while. And Natalie's starting to wonder. And I thought it was gonna be the story where there's the guy with a hook for the hand and he leaves the hook in the car.
They didn't do that one.
They didn't do that one, but kind of a similar one where it ends up. This is where there's lots of action and drama and scary stuff. So she realizes the killer kind of shows up, and we can't see their face. They're in pants and a parka, and then they've hung Joshua Jackson by a noose up on a tree, and they've tied the rope to the car, which she doesn't know. Natalie doesn't know. She can just hear some banging on top, and he barely has his feet. He's like, don't start
I
the
want to call
car."
bullshit on this.
Well, that he's
that
still,
they
what?
could just go around, tie that shit, and not make any noise.
Yeah.
Like, I know this is suspension of disbelief in most horror movies, but this is like, that's exceptional.
Mm-hmm.
You'd have to be the Hulk to do that shit.
Yeah, so she drives off and unknowingly hangs him because she's already kind of tried to tussle with the killer, so he dies.
And
then
falls through his windshield.
falls through the windshield, that's right. So then she runs off and she goes to get the security guard, who, by the way, is the only person of color in this movie. She was the voice of reason because the college is trying to deny that these murders are happening.
Not at first.
Not at... What?
At first, she told that bitch she was crazy.
Oh, she told Brent... Well, because
the car was gone.
She takes her out to where the murder happened, and the car and Joshua Jackson's body are gone. So she's like, well, I can't, there's no evidence. I can't do anything.
She's not a good cop.
And then the dean and everybody figures, oh, it's the weekend. He may have gone off partying, or he's in a drunk tank somewhere. He'll come back. So they don't really care about missing students very much.
No, not at all.
So that's the first main murder. And then Natalie starts...
immediately after.
Yeah. Like, why don't you explain the next one?
So there was this weird scene earlier in the movie, other than the fact that her bitchy goth chick roommate was complaining about the internet.
The phone line.
Yeah. So the first time we see her, Discount Donna from That 70s Show, that's what this girl looks like, walks into her dorm, and this girl is entertaining a friend.
A gentleman suitor.
Very aggressively, and of course they got to be weird, so I think he was like hitting her or some shit. So that sets up the next time she walks in, and she's just like, you know what, I'm not gonna turn the light off, and she can hear her roommate making all these aggressive noises, and she just assumes like, she's doing her thing again, I'll go and sleep with my headphones on. And then when she wakes up, she finds her body.
Yes, the girl had been strangled, but when she turns on the lights, her wrists had been slashed and there's blood everywhere, and written
the wrong
in blood.
direction.
Yeah. We won't say which way because we don't want to encourage that. But it says, "Aren't you glad you didn't turn on the lights?" So Natalie had checked out a book about urban legends, and this was one of the urban legends where the roommate's killed and the killer was there the whole time. So she goes to the dean.
Okay, I was wondering, because I didn't know about that one.
I didn't know
how it was an urban legend.
I had seen it because she had a book about it.
Okay.
And that popped up. Okay, and now here are some things. So she goes and talks to the dean. Because she said, okay, this other murder happened with my friend. This murder happened with my roommate. There is a killer on campus. Something is going on. And the dean shakes a bottle of pills and says, oh, she was on lithium. Did you know she was manic depressive? And Natalie says, well, of course she was. She painted half the room black. Excuse me. I have manic depression, and I'll point you to, if you're watching the video, this nice rose color in my office. I painted that. Now, my hallway is a nice terracotta color that I painted in one day in kind of a manic, angry thing, but none of my walls are painted black. So you can't tell that a person has bipolar disorder just by their behavior, or if you're not a psychiatrist or a psychologist, shut the fuck up.
Also, no one around this murder was taking it serious at all.
No.
Like, literally everyone that saw the body getting carted out was like, ha! Stupid bitch.
Stupid dead body.
And then, like, okay, this is the second or third death within 3 days, and everybody's just like, won't happen to me, though. Like,
yeah, this dumb goth girl killed
fucking
herself.
Idiots. He basically did the same thing. You told Melanie about this. There was this story that happened in, it may have been Oklahoma. I'm gonna go with Oklahoma because it sounds like Oklahoma. This is really fucked up. There was a black man that was lynched, had his testicles cut off, and shot, all in the same sitting. And the sheriff of that town said that it was the most aggressive case of suicide he had ever seen.
Oh my god.
And wrote that in that was his report.
I fucking hate white people. Oh my god.
This is that dean. He's like, she killed herself. Like, what about all the writing on the walls?
And the strangulation marks on her neck.
And he's like, nope, killed herself. She was crazy. I'm like, how the fuck? Did she choke herself while she was bleeding out?
Yeah. So anyway,
these assholes.
So they're in denial, which is kind of the classic thing you have in horror movies, where
it just doesn't make sense. Why though?
Because 25 years ago, there was a murder supposedly in the abandoned Stanley Hall, which is this building that they just kind of boarded up and never did anything with. So this professor, a psych professor, because of course, went around. He knocked on the door and he slit the throat of every student. And then he finally slit his own throat and killed himself. So, and Jared Leto is kind of the little newspaper wannabe guy, and he discovered that Professor Wexler is the sole survivor. So we're kind of starting to wonder, aha, is Wexler the killer? Is Jared Leto the killer? Because he's trying to get that Pulitzer Prize story. We don't know. So,
at this point, I was sure it was the Jared Leto character.
Because
I was so sure.
He and Natalie sneak into Wexler's office, and they see a parka, which is what Natalie saw the killer wearing, and an axe. And then they get caught by the dean. So
Although,
they get in trouble.
they kind of gave that away. It was a different kind of axe than what they
showed
at
it
the
was
very beginning of the movie.
A double-headed axe at the beginning with the murder.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, well, obviously it's not him. Because one, it's too obvious, and two, he's barely been in the movie. They barely used him.
So we bring in a few more urban legends. Natalie finally tells, I think, Brenda, or one of them, that she feels really sad, and she has a connection to this girl who was killed at the beginning. And we see a flashback.
I think it was Brenda.
It was Brenda, yeah. And she said, well, when I was in high school, that my friend was driving, and we've heard the urban legend about how if somebody's driving with their car, let their lights off, you shouldn't flash your lights at them to alert them because it's a gang initiation. So if you flash your lights, they'll come turn around and try to kill you as their gang initiation. So they wanted to play a prank. So they had their lights off. And, person driving trying to be a good citizen is like, hey, forgot to I've done that every once in a while. I've forgotten to turn my lights on. It happens.
It sounds like urban legends are created to tell you to be an asshole.
I guess.
Be an asshole. Don't help anybody.
Fuck them.
I guess.
Be like Grumpy Bear.
Yeah, be like by Grumpy Bear. I've got a Grumpy Bear on my desk. Would you grab the other one, please? I have not one, but two Grumpy Bears on my desk.
Be like Grumpy Bear.
Be like Grumpy Bear. Fuck everybody.
Fuck everybody.
Literally don't fuck everybody, but that's your attitude. So, moving on. So they do this to this guy. He flashes his lights like, hey, turn your lights on. And so they swerve around, do a U-turn, and they start chasing him. And he's scared, and they cause a car wreck, and the guy dies. And Natalie was not driving, but she didn't tell her friend to stop. She was there. So she feels really guilty about it.
And at this point, I was sure it was Jared Leto, because I was like, he's got to be like his little brother or something. He's got to be related to him.
So we figure maybe it's somebody who's avenging this guy's death.
Here's a problem I have with the movie. There are a couple people who I don't really understand why there was a murder. And it was the dean and Big Shock, Wexler, Robert Englund. I don't know why either one of them got killed.
So we would know that they're not the killer.
I guess so. There's no other reason.
Yeah.
Because they're not integral to what's-her-face, the redhead.
Natalie?
So...
No. It just happens. So then they're at a frat party. And it's the 25th anniversary, and they're like, ooh, it's going to be scary, but everybody's dressed in costumes, everybody's having fun. Natalie's crying.
You know how you celebrate the death of a bunch of people?
Yeah, you know how you do that. So she kisses Paul. Brenda gets mad because she had a crush on Paul, and this is Rebecca Gayheart, Noxema girl. She goes outside. This is one of my favorite parts, too. She's crying while Zoot Suit Riot by the Cherry Poppin' Daddies is playing. Isn't that a horrible name for a band?
Yeah.
I had their CD because I was really big into the swing dance revival that happened in like 98, 99. It was really fun.
Okay.
You had to be there. Good times. So they're doing that. The security guard goes into Wexler's office, slips in blood. Now, AJ already gave it away, so I'm like, well, something happened there.
Yeah, and we don't know how that one happened, I don't think.
No.
It was just like, I think the murderer got lazy. He's like, I just want this one dead.
Yeah, I just want to kill
care.
this one. So then another murder happens. The frat boy, Lex Luthor guy, gets a phone call. And it's somebody kind of talking shit to him. And he's like,
asshole.
I know this story. It's when the babysitter gets the call and it's coming from inside the house, but the joke's on you. Dickweed, I'm not babysitting any kids. And the guy on the phone says,
Wrong legend. This is the one about the old lady who drives her wet dog in the microwave. Fuck! God, this fucking sick motherfucker!
What? And I said to AJ, at least it's not the one about like the woman on PCP who puts her baby in the oven. So
poor
he goes,
dog.
there was a cute little white dog And he goes to the microwave, and it's filled with blood and goop. So they this person
Like,
microwaved a dog.
yeah, fuck this person.
Fuck this movie.
Like, okay, that's the point where I don't understand anymore. Like, oh, you want to kill people because you're mad about someone dying. Okay, alright, I get. But a dog? Like, what the fuck? And it really doesn't make sense. The dog was too big for that microwave. But...
No, you really couldn't. You'd have to like break its legs or something to stick it in there.
And
But
then-
it's a horror movie, so a dog always has to. The dog either lives or dies.
The Babadook. There's no reason for that dog to die.
The kid should have died. Fuck that kid. I hate that kid.
Anyway, okay, and then I guess the killer had already used up their interesting kill on the dog, and then they're just like, I'm gonna feed Michael Rosenbaum bleach.
Yeah, so
Like-
they knocked him out and they tied his hands, and I thought, oh, they're gonna like drown him in the toilet because they got him in the bathroom, and they stick a hose and a funnel on his mouth and pour like Drano and stuff and just poison
And
him.
That, like, is that a
Necessary?
urban legend? I've
don't
never heard of
think
urban
so.
legends of people who eat Tide Pods. Sure, okay.
No.
Fuck.
Okay, and also another character we didn't really mention before, Tara Reid. She's just there because she was kind of the it girl for 2 minutes in the late 90s.
Which I still don't get why they didn't just give her a bigger part.
No, but she runs a radio talk
station
show about
as
sex.
As a
Well, I
college
I
kid?
think it's colleges have radio stations
where
so-
they get to talk about that.
well,
Like, her whole shtick is like, we're gonna talk about fucking. And that's
basically.
it. And make jokes about it.
So she's doing her show, and we see in the background, I guess her producer is in the other room. Somebody shows up, slits his throat, turns off the light, and starts this long chase with Tara Reid. She's got her microphone on, and people at the party can hear her screaming. And all of them think, oh, it's just a prank. She's reliving the murders that happened 25
Which is weird,
years ago.
because she's never done anything suggesting that before.
No.
They're just like, oh yeah, it's like that Orgy Wells guy.
Orgy Wells. That's his new name. Sorry, Orson Welles, although he might appreciate that. I don't know.
Orgy Wells, yeah. You know how he did? He killed a bunch of people by scaring them on the radio somehow.
Yeah, although I do like that Orson Welles trolled a bunch of people with War of the Worlds.
Yeah. Also, that didn't really happen. That's actually probably an urban legend.
That didn't happen?
Yeah, that's also an
Oh
urban
man,
legend.
I thought that was so baller that he did that.
No, like, he did the show, but there wasn't, like, a mass suicide freak
I
out.
didn't think there was a suicide. I thought people were just panicking.
No, there was, like... I always heard there were people jumping out of buildings and shit. There was mass suicide.
Oh.
And then I grew up and found out it wasn't real. Which
Okay.
I'm very disappointed.
All kinds of people reacted in all kinds of ways. For example, John Barrymore was listening to the broadcast, and although he was a friend of mine, ceased to identify me with the show and believed implicitly that America had fallen. And hearing this on his radio, rushed out into his backyard where he kept 10 Red Cross people in a kennels and released the people, giving them their freedom, crying to them as they ran in all directions of the compass, "The world has fallen, fend for yourselves." And I still meet the Martians on the ferry in the Black Hills of Dakota on our honeymoon.
I was so...
So disappointed those suicides didn't happen.
yeah. All those nameless dead people.
Oh, okay. No, we don't want that to happen.
Yeah, don't...
Just
don't,
disclaimer.
Don't kill humans.
Don't kill anybody. So, good old Orgy Wells. So, long chase scene, and Natalie sees that the killer is chopping up Tara Reid with an axe. So she's dead. So all the friends are getting picked off.
She had a pretty good run, though.
She had a good, I mean, she was
And again, I don't think there was an urban legend attached to that one.
not really.
It was just like, I'm breaking in.
Yeah, so she grabs Brenda and says, hey, our friend's dead. We got to get out of here. And so they meet up with Paul, who's Jared Leto, and they get in his car. He drives to a gas station to call the police for help because nobody has cell phones. And so then they notice a smell, and Robert Englund's dead body is in the back seat. So Natalie and Brenda start running, and Natalie gets ahead, and Brenda trips and falls, or something happens. And Natalie runs into an abandoned building, and she hears screaming.
Oh, but wait.
But wait, what?
There was one more There. Okay.
Oh yes. Okay.
One
talk about
character
this
we haven't
part.
talked about at all. That's our fault. So we already talked about at the beginning. They had whatever dwarf, I can't remember his name, the Chucky guy as like the kind of the freak out. Also, the cops picked him up. And they're like, oh, shut and close case, even though he was a mile back down the road.
This never got resolved. We never heard that
They never come back to it.
this innocent man was let out of prison. So
Nope, and they probably left him there just because he's ugly.
he's still there to this day.
So there's a janitor that has popped up a couple of times, and they used him like not just the characters in the movie, but like the camera shots set him up as another jump scare, like ugly guy, and he comes back into the movie when Natalie is running away, and she flags down a car, and he's the one driving the car. So she gets in his car, and they're driving along, and then she starts to look down. She notices there's a parka there, which looks like the other one. And she starts to like, okay, you can let me out here, and it won't open from the inside. He's like, you calm down. He's like, just stop it. You're going to jump out and hurt yourself. Stop this shit. And that's supposed to be like it might be
the headlights. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he flashes his headlights at somebody driving the opposite way, and that's when they get run off the road, like the original gang thing.
Yeah, there was somebody driving with their headlights off. He's trying to be a good citizen.
He might
flashing his
die.
lights. Yeah, there's a car crash. We don't know what happens to this poor guy. He's probably dead. I guess it doesn't matter because he's not a pretty young college student. So Natalie runs into the abandoned Stanley Hall, which is where all the murders happened. All the original murders 25 years ago. And she hears screaming. And so she sees on the beds the bodies, which are preserved wonderfully. The bodies of the dean, Lex Luthor, whatever his name is, Michael Rosenbaum, and Joshua Jackson. And they look fresh as daisies. They're a little gray, but they don't look like they've been dead for a couple.
Joshua Jackson being strangled. Like,
Yeah, you think he'd look
be
a
blue?
little, yeah, look a little different. And so then she sees Brenda on the bed. She's like, "Oh no, Brenda, are you okay?" Brenda sits up, punches the shit out of her, knocks her out. So now, why don't you talk about Noxzema Girl?
Oh god.
While I drink my wine.
She's actually okay.
The reveal.
She doesn't deserve to be the Noxzema Girl. This bitch was. Woo, she went way out on a ledge to be this crazy.
You won't get away with this.
Natalie, of course I will.
I've got the perfect murder in the trunk of Paul's car. Wexler.
You're
Professor does away with his students, then kills himself in the same manner as the course he teaches. It's beautiful.
It's so fucking clean, isn't it?
Well, enough chat, Nat. Now, I'm sorry, but I don't have any anesthesia. I guess you'll just have to bite down real hard on that gag and hope that you go into shock soon.
Please don't do this.
She would be a great Harley Quinn. Well, she's too late, but she's the revealed killer the whole time. So you can understand why I'm calling bullshit on her, like, hanging a dude up in a tree all by herself and carrying these bodies back to wherever she brings them.
Yeah, she's a little skinny thing.
And they're a bunch of shit. Just doesn't make sense. So at this point, I was still thinking, oh, she's got an accomplice. But we'll get to that. She is so fucking good at being crazy.
Yeah.
And, like...
Wide-eyed and, you got it all figured out, don't you?
She's kind of country, which I like.
All of a sudden, people get southern accents. Like, Jared Leto's comes out, which he's from Louisiana. I looked him up. I don't know.
Look here, pretty thing.
Look here, Miss Thing.
Like, why? That literally hurt my eyeballs. So, not a sister, not a brother, obviously, but a girlfriend. She was the girlfriend of the guy that was in the original, like, run-off-the-road gang thing, and he exploded, and she was mad about it. So.
The car where Natalie and her friend were, they accidentally ran her boyfriend off the road, and Brenda was supposed to marry him, and she's like, therapy didn't work! Ah!
Which, yeah, she very specifically calls that out. She's like, I'm totally insane. I know. Like, I'm fully aware that I'm crazy. I tried it all. It didn't work. So I'm going with this. which makes me wonder why she killed the other girl first. Because I think the other girl was the one driving.
Yeah.
So she killed the one driving just outright, and she decided the girl that was just sitting there and joking with her, she was the one she was gonna, like, I'm gonna kill all your friends around you until I get to you. And
torment her.
And then she was gonna cut her liver out?
No,
kidney?
It's the urban legend. You get taken home by somebody and you wake up in a bathtub and your kidney's been removed for the black market.
I don't think it's an urban legend if you just wake them up and go like, hey, I'm gonna cut something out now.
Yeah, so she has a scalpel. She has her tied up and stuff, and so she starts stabbing her in the abdomen with a scalpel. And the security guard shows up, Reese, and she's like, oh, no, you're not going to do this. And so she shoots at her, but Reese drops the gun, or there's a tussle.
Yeah.
And Brenda gets the gun and shoots, or she slices it. Reese gets injured, so she's bleeding pretty badly. And so
this is when Jared Leto runs in.
He shows up and he does.
Very well done. I couldn't have planned it better myself.
A few things, though, okay?
I'm listening.
Well, I need some details for my article.
And so I think, aha, he's the
Yeah, I thought this was going to be like, okay, we've been working together this whole time.
Yeah, because what Brenda said was, okay, I'm going to kill you, and then Jared Leto's going to get his big story, and then we're going to be together. Because she still has a crush on this dope.
Like, which I don't want to discourage future murderers out there from what their goal is.
Follow your dreams.
But, like, pick a lane. You're very committed to getting your revenge. Do that. Don't worry about relationships. It's not important at this point in your life.
It's like an AA. You shouldn't be dating while you're in recovery.
Yeah, this is not the point in your life where you worry about relationships. Yeah. Right now, you worry about getting those murders in you, and I guess passing psychology class.
I guess so, but he is not one of the killers. He's just like, I really got to get that story. But he also realizes how fucked up it is.
And then she's like, that was good, but fuck you, I'm gonna kill you too.
Yeah, so the cop is still alive, or the security guard, and she shoots Natalie in the leg. Or not Natalie, sorry. She shoots Brenda in the leg.
This bitch shoots the wrong girl.
Yeah, wrong girl. No, she shoots Rebecca Gayheart, knocks Zima Girl, the killer, in the leg, knocks her down. Somehow Natalie gets the gun, shoots Brenda, who falls out the window, and this is where she turns into Rasputin.
I was gonna say Jason, but yeah.
Yeah, I'll say Rasputin, who was poisoned, stabbed, shot, and drowned. And maybe other things, too.
She's even stronger than Rasputin.
Yeah, so Jared Leto and Natalie drive off in the car, and then Brenda pops up in the back with an axe.
Although, wait. Before that happens, they tried to fake us out, which I was like, okay, so here's like... Oh, by the way, they way too quickly had this really dumb, like, sappy Full House music. Like, everything's gonna be fine. While the cop has a gunshot wound
gash across her
in her stomach. And she's just like, well, y'all hurry and give me something, anything, little fuckers. So, Jared Leto, while they're driving away, he's like, but, okay, if this is all an urban legend, where's the twist? And so I was like, okay, so he's gonna reveal, like,
oh, yeah,
I am the other killer.
Natalie's dumbass says, this will be an urban legend too. And I'm just like, several people have died.
Yeah,
can you hold on for a second?
We can talk about that in a minute too.
God.
So that's when the twist is itself, sorta. Like, they call out the twist, but then the twist is just that the bitch is in the back seat, and she's not dead.
Well, but then there's another twist. So they kind of...
The other twist is that bitch flies out a window.
They kind of crash the car. She flies out the window, off a bridge, into the water. So, okay. Phew. She's gone.
I thought, and right when they showed that she hits the water, I was like, they should run back, get the axe, and like throw it at her in the water.
No, give her a
Obviously, they don't.
No, so cut to another coffee shop, another young college students.
It's a 40-year-old group. They're all in their 40s.
They look like they're in their 40s.
It's the cast of Friends if they got like Scooby-fied.
Yes.
Like, there's definitely a Velma and there's definitely Fred. There's definitely those two.
Yeah, so they're kind of telling the version of what happened at Pendleton or Pembleton, whatever it was, at the college. And it's not quite right. And then somebody leans in and says, let me tell you how it really happened. And it's Brenda!
They did.
With straight hair. She straightened her hair. It was curly before.
They did have one really good line where, that right before that, they're making fun of this dude for, like, explaining the story. Like, oh yeah, and I bet it was the Noxema girl.
Yes.
So good for them for that.
So, yeah, this was pleasant. For me, it was kind of a time capsule for when I was in college. So that was nice. They didn't have too many 90s music, but the Cherry Poppin' Daddies cracked me up. So
they had a few. There was the stuff that the gothic girl was listening to that was like singing to and shit. Like, I think there was some Sum 41 in there.
The 90s were a good time to be around. So, and it really wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. It was predictable, but it was fun and it was enjoyable.
Yeah, nobody was doing, like, a terrible job.
No, everybody showed up for work. Everybody showed up for work. Nobody acted poorly
and Tara Reid wasn't in it long enough to screw up.
Yeah.
So...
everybody wins.
Okay, now here, we can talk about this problem that is just in horror movies. No matter what the group is, either it's people that have known each other forever, or it's people that love each other or hate each other, or they just met... the two things that happen in a horror movie after a murder or at the end of the horror movie is someone's either making like some pretty fucked up jokes and everybody's laughing about it, or someone is talking about like a relationship thing or something and all their friends just died. Like, could just stop doing that. Just stop doing that where at the end of the movie, all your friends are dead. Like, one day we're gonna be an urban legend. And they have that fucking freeze frame.
Yeah.
Stop doing that. It's so... I hate everyone in the movie once that happens.
Now, sometimes a little gallows humor maybe is... it helps you get through trying times.
But they, like, legitimately will laugh sometimes in these movies.
Yeah, but Natalie and Paul, Jared Leto, were driving away from a murder, like, at that moment. And they were like, this is going to become an urban legend.
And they were sort of like, do you like me? Who gives a shit if he likes you?
I know.
You're one of your friends. You just watched her murdered. Like, literally a few minutes before. And she's just like, but does he like me?
I know.
Seriously? And is she going to be mad that... like, Brenda and her were talking about, it's okay if you like him, I don't care.
Yeah, they were both,
like,
I mean...
didn't Tara Reid just get her head chopped off?
Yeah, do we not care? So,
anyway.
I've got some recommendations. My favorite late 90s movie, Cruel Intentions, with Reese Witherspoon and Ryan Phillippe and Selma Blair. That is delightful. And Sarah Michelle Gellar is a delightful villain. Candyman, the original one, with Tony Todd, and also the remake by Jordan Peele. It is incredibly moving. It's very good.
It's not by Jordan Peele.
But it was
It's produced by Jordan Peele. Sorry I don't have the director's name on top of my head. Because they deserve credit.
Did he take part in the writing?
I think he wrote it with her.
Okay,
yeah.
So it's excellent remake.
Anyway.
Or excellent it wasn't a remake. It was kind of a continuation of the story.
Reboot quill, as it were.
Yes. Yes, and so, okay.
Skip 2 and 3. Don't watch those.
Nah.
They are terrible. But 1 and the rebooty sequel thing.
Candyman. And so I've got 2 more. Jawbreaker with Rebecca Gayheart and Rose McGowan and all the 90s-ness of it. I love that movie. And then also just time travel back to the late 90s and just stay there in a time loop.
just listen to some. I want to say somebody other than Nirvana.
Yeah,
Fucking Soundgarden. I don't know.
wasn't really a. Yeah, I like Soundgarden. I wasn't really a Nirvana fan. So yeah, those are mine.
I can't watch Jawbreaker. The opening death. Ugh. It fucks with me whenever somebody dies from an accident or something. It's like the One Punch Man, when that giant dude has a scientist brother and he accidentally like.
Oh, he squishes him.
Ugh.
I did it. I killed the teen dream.
Oh, it fucks with my head.
I love
Anyway,
that movie.
okay, so I got two. One, I'll start with this one. Exorcist 3. It's actually really good if you just accept the setup. And like I said, Dorf, whatever that dude's name is,
And
is in
George
it.
C. Scott acts his guts out.
Yeah,
It's really good.
Everybody really tries. If you watched Exorcist 2 and you're calling bullshit on me, I get it. Exorcist 2 was apparently terrible. But I'm not talking about that one. Exorcist 3 is a totally new sorta story. Although the priest comes back into it, whose name I can't remember. Anyway, so that's one. It's awesome. And also Maniac.
Oh God, talk about that one just a little bit.
Elijah Wood, you outdid yourself.
Oh.
It's a murder movie. It's entirely from the point of view of the murderer, like POV, and it's weird. And if you buy it, which you can probably buy it at a secondhand movie shop, you'll never get rid of it.
It's like a ring tape curse or something. They won't take it back.
I finally got rid of it because I let Ivan borrow it.
Ooh, okay.
And Ivan's no longer at my company. So
okay, so we don't have Maniac anymore.
but
right.
it's got some interesting kills and other moments to it, and Elijah Wood is just interesting to watch
and it's
him.
one of those where you're really rooting for the good guys, and it's rough when things don't go as they should. So, yeah, all right. So, couple of ways to join our cult and be my victim. If you say my name in the mirror 5 times. We are on Discord, Anchor, YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, Twitch. That made me confused because I said the video and the audio interspersed, but you can find us on video and audio. Also on Instagram, Movie Pain or Pleasure Podcast. So we can become your next urban legend.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.